So far, we've reviewed how to import media files from a location on our system, like when we navigate to a folder full of QuickTime movies and bring them into Final Cut, for example. In this movie, we're going to talk about how to bring in files that reside on a camera card. Now, you won't have exercise files to follow along with this, so just sit back and watch for now. All right, so you can either plug your camera straight into the computer, or in my case, I've put the camera card into a card reader and then plugged it into my system via USB. So you can see that is right here, and if I double-click to see what's inside, you'll see that there are several folders and files inside, and several levels deep, you'll see the actual movies. Now, don't worry, you don't have to worry about finding the media to import. Final Cut takes care of that for you. For now, I'm going to eject this card reader, because I want to show you what happens when you plug it in and Final Cut is on. So I'm going to plug that back in. And as you notice, Final Cut immediately brings up my media import window. It's auto-detecting that I need to bring in my media, so I don't even have to trigger the import. Now notice that my camera is listed right along here, along the left-hand side, and as long as it's selected, I can see the clips that reside on it. Even if there's a confusing folder structure, it doesn't matter. Final Cut burrows down to exactly what I need. So just as before, I can click on the clips that I'd like to import. Right now, I have it in list view, but if I wanted it in a film strip view, I could show that as well. I can bring everything in. If I wanted to bring in all parts of all clips, I'll just select one and then press Command A, and they'll all come in. Or I can bring in ranges. I can shift-click like so, or I can command-click on non-adjacent clips. I can also bring in partial clips. So if I wanted to just bring in a portion of this, I can click and drag over the selection, or I can mark in and out points. So I and O, and that gives me a range. And if I want multiple ranges on the same clip, I just hold down Command, and I can have as many ranges on the same clip that I want. So I can do that for each and every clip on the card, but for our purposes, I'm just going to bring everything in. So I'll select it and press Command A. Now I'm going to come over here to the right sidebar, and we're already familiar with all of this. We're able to do any of the options that we were previously able to do. We can select our event and library. We can configure any of the options down here appropriately, but there are just a couple of differences, things you can't do when you're working with a camera card. And I'm going to come first to Files. If you remember, before we had the option of copying files into our library or just creating pointer files and leaving the actual media in its original location. Well, in this case, that's not an option. We can't leave the files on our camera card and constantly point back to it. So that's grayed out. I can't even select it. Also grayed out are a couple of options down here under Keywords. I can't form keywords from Finder tags or folders. There aren't any named subfolders on a camera card that would be useful to me, and I can't add any tags to those files. So those are not options. But everything else I can do. So I'll go ahead and import these files. First, let me actually just change my event. I did set myself up just a regular import camera miscellaneous event. Everything else looks good, so I'll choose import selected. All right, so if you take a look here, I have my clips coming in. If I look on my background tasks window, you can see the status update as stuff comes in. And if I chose to have any transcoding and analysis, that's going to show up here as well. All right, so as you can see, bringing in media from your camera card is a pretty intuitive process, and you have a lot of flexibility in selecting exactly the clips or portions of clips that you want to bring in.